Up next, Riddler's behind the beats.
Okay, check this out.
What's up, everybody? I'm DJ Riddler, and welcome to Behind the Beats, where I take you behind the scenes with some of your favorite artists, producers. But this week, I'm going to introduce you to a personal friend of mine, a music industry professional. She's a graduate from NYU University with a law degree from Brooklyn Law School. In 2019, she was listed as Billboard's Women in Music Top Executives. Her A&R past credits include Sean Kingston, Snooty Wild, Future, Bobby Shmurda, Mary J. Blige, Michael Jackson, and a whole lot more. I am proud to introduce to you a really good friend of mine. She was also my roommate when I lived in New York City. Senior VP A&R, Def Jam, Marisa Pizarro.
Hi, Rich.
How'd you like my intro?
That's amazing. Never knew I would have an intro with Snooty Wild in it. So,
you've worked with so many artists over the years. I mean, and you are also Filipino American. What made you decide to go into music? I mean, your parents, they're both doctors. They're medical professionals. I would think, having Filipino parents, like, they want you to be a doctor also.
Oh, I mean, I don't think there was ever another option. I started off at NYU as...
Coming up next, Riddler's behind the beats.
Okay, check this out.
What's up, everybody? I'm DJ Riddler, and welcome to Behind the Beats, where I take you behind the scenes with some of your favorite artists, producers. But this week, I'm going to introduce you to a personal friend of mine, a music industry professional. She's a graduate from NYU University with a law degree from Brooklyn Law School. In 2019, she was listed as Billboard's Women in Music Top Executives. Her A&R past credits include Sean Kingston, Snooty Wild, Future, Bobby Shmurda, Mary J. Blige, Michael Jackson, and a whole lot more. I am proud to introduce to you a really good friend of mine. She was also my roommate when I lived in New York City. Senior VP A&R, Def Jam, Marisa Pizarro.
Hi, Rich.
How'd you like my intro?
That's amazing. Never knew I would have an intro with Snooty Wild in it. So,
you've worked with so many artists over the years. I mean, and you are also Filipino American. What made you decide to go into music? I mean, your parents, they're both doctors. They're medical professionals. I would think, having Filipino parents, like, they want you to be a doctor also.
oh, I mean, I don't think there was ever another option. I started off at NYU as a biology major. So, it was funny because, that question almost circles right back to you. I lived in New York. I lived and breathed music. I was going to shows every night. I was throwing shows. I was doing radio shows. But I didn't know that you could have a job in music. And then I met you, and you had a job in music.
I was working at Tommy Boy Records at that time, yeah.
Someone paid you to work in music. And I remember going to your office, and first there was an office. Mind blown, right? There's an office for music, okay? And I just remember going there, the energy. I feel like you funded half my lifestyle just from selling your CDs on St. Mark's Place. But going to your office and actually just hanging around and seeing you and people like Chris Atlas, there's people that could have a job in music doing what they love. How do I do that? I guess the answer is watching you, dude.
Wow, I never really realized that. So I was actually an influence in
Yeah,
you.
like, I didn't know you could have that these were jobs. I mean, you know, like we grew up, the people we knew are all like nurses and doctors. And, you know, I don't think our parents, I mean, I went to law school just to appease my parents, you know, so, you know, there's that part's still there. But the whole time I'm like, oh, there's actually careers other than doctor, lawyer, engineer. Like, I just, and, you know, we didn't grow up in LA where we're surrounded by, you know, film and TV and things like that. So I just didn't know that people could get paid for doing these things. And, you know, I was at the time hanging around a bunch of artists myself, like, you know, Nonfiction, Company Flow, you know, like, and we were just friends, and you just didn't realize like people are making money off of their music.
So what was your first break, do you think, in the music industry?
I would definitely say working for Jonathan Schechter. He was one of the founders of The Source. He had a record label, and he was very influential in that he let us kind of sign what we loved, and one of those projects was Eminem.
You know, that was crazy. Like, I remember you telling me about Royce the 5'9" and Eminem, and I was just like, who are they? You know? I mean, I think did you bring them by
They came to the apartment.
Yeah, that's what I remember. Yeah, you brought them to the apartment, and I didn't think nothing of it. Eminem in the apartment. Like, you know, that's so crazy. So,
just watching his trajectory and just seeing where it could go, and just being around such greatness was very inspiring. And
did you think it was good? Did you think he was going to be as big as he was?
I had no idea.
Yeah.
I mean, we were going from shows at Wetlands and SOBs. I mean, you know, to like imagine Yankee stadiums across the whole world. Like, no, I had no idea, you know. But I also don't know if I had that kind of worldview either. You know, we were at the time like living in New York, you know, downtown. I mean, we were very, you know, New York. So I don't know if I would have ever thought it would have gone this far.
It's so amazing, though, that you were a part of that in the very beginning. I love, you know, I love telling. I don't tell a lot of people that story that he was in our apartment, but you know, it blows my mind. Actually, it blows my mind. We lived in a really hip apartment. Who was our neighbor across, like up on the third floor?
Jesse, he's the actor from Law and Order.
And at that time, he was in the Broadway musical Rent. He's one of the original cast members. Mm-hmm. And it's so crazy that what I remember that one year we threw I think it was a New Year's Eve party, and we just had
everyone had a party.
Everyone had a party on the floor. We had the second, third, fourth floor up to Jesse's apartment.
Even that party, I mean, we had like LP was DJing our party, and now he's run the Jewels. Like, it's like that was who we just hung out with. So it's just weird. It's just, I didn't know that you could have a job off of it. It was just our life, you know?
I mean, I remember we threw a house party one time, and Todd Terry, legendary house producer Todd Terry, was in our apartment. And I don't fangirl, but I kind of fangirl fanboyed because this is the guy that shaped house music around the world, right? And he's in our apartment. And at that time, I think I wasn't even playing house music. I was just playing some hip hop and reggae. And he's like, "No, cool, it's cool. Just hey, you know."
He seemed to love all music. It was amazing.
Yeah, no, he does. And it's funny. I just saw, the last time I saw Todd was last year in Amsterdam. And he was good friends with Buddha, rest in peace, our good friend that passed away.
I was there with you in Amsterdam last year.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But he totally remembered Buddha. He totally remembered our house party. And yeah. So crazy. Now, last year you arrived over at Def Jam, right in time to be part of the launch of Kanye's Jesus is King project. What was that experience like?
Well, I have had experience working with Kanye because I work with Mike Dean. So I've been through numerous Kanye projects, like all of the Wyoming ones, projects before. So I kind of knew how this was going to go down, but I never knew what it looked like for the label. And I have a new appreciation for everything they do. We would be making tweaks to the last minute, if not overdue. And you forget that there's a whole machine running, waiting for this album and waiting. So, it was interesting to be on the label side now. Kanye is a creative genius. He's probably the most, influential artist of our generation, or where in the sphere I live, at least. So being part of any project is an honor. So it was crazy. I mean, this was also everyone working all night. It was one of those.
No sleep, basically.
No sleep. And on the creative side, he was making changes till the last minute.
I mean, I love that album, actually. When he came to Houston, me and Renner, we stood in line and
did you go to Sunday service?
We did the Sunday service, yeah.
And it's amazing, and it's fun, and you feel something. It's an experience.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Speaking of experience, what's been the biggest change working with your artists during COVID?
Well, in the beginning, we weren't working at all. Now, we're still, people are laughing because we're still working. We're still going to the studio every night. We're still, studios are small. We have no choice. But the music still gets, needs to get made. We're hoping that, everyone's, taking the necessary steps. But, we also deal with a lot of young artists and, artists getting off of planes and artists that go out. So, it's scary times.
Do you see any of these changes like long lasting? Like what kind of changes you think is going to like kind of be the norm?
Two things. I don't know if we need these big buildings anymore and these big, label structures and that office kind of environment. I can't, I've been working fine without it. We're just going to the studios and then doing Zoom calls all day. So I don't know if we're ever going back to the office like that. In terms of the artist side, I think it's forced a lot of people to be creative on how they release records. I hope we continue with that. When I just can't foresee any time we're going back to shows anytime soon. So, I think this is our new norm for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard different people say we're not going to see any tours till 2022. Some are saying.
I mean, do you want to go?
I'm cool. I'm good. I'll sit here at home watching it virtually.
Especially how good virtual and, in-home experiences are becoming. It's going to be hard to want to go back to those big, festival, stadium shows, things like that. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so has signing artists changed? Is there, pre-COVID, I'm sure there were 3 things that you were looking for. What would be those 3 things pre-COVID signing an artist?
I don't think I think I've remained the same. I mean, you take away the live performance now aspect of it, but I'm always looking for an artist that has a strong point of view, and kind of know who they are. I want it to be authentic, and I don't want to have to be the one to kind of tell you who you are, I remember when first meeting Travis Scott. He walked in, he knew he wanted an action figure, he knew the merch, he knew what his videos would look like. 2 of them were already shot. He had an album done, and it was literally like, how do we execute this, this guy's vision? And it was an exciting ride, and look where he is. So, point of view is important to me. And same with, Future. When we met him, it was like, I have an insane amount of music. I am just, I'm going to be consistent. This is who I am, and I represent Atlanta. And that's who he was, and his point of view that, attracted us to him. I'll always look for good music, obviously. And, I guess, a strong work ethic and hunger. I don't want this more than they want it. I want to be in partnership with my artists. I want to work towards it together. And that seems to work. It's hard. It's a business to be an artist, and people forget that. So it's work. It's working on your physical. It's working on your mental. It's promotions. It's traveling. It was one day, but it's work. So you got to be in it for the long haul, especially if we're gonna invest and sign and work with these artists. They have to want to do the work too. So
Yeah, speaking of projects at Def Jam, what are some of the projects that you're really excited about right now?
My quarantine project was Danny Lay's new album, movie that comes out on 11/13. That's a fun project we worked on for a while. Next up, I'll have Cash Page. She's out of Texas.
Oh, what part of Texas?
Dallas.
Dallas.
Yeah. She's had a couple projects out, so I'm new to her. So we have her in LA this week. And I have just signed an artist with French Montana named Alam. So we're starting recording now with her. And then and those are like my new artists that I'm excited about. And then of course I'm excited. Big Sean released a new album. It's amazing. And then we have 2 Chainz out, and he's always fun. And Mike Dean worked on that as well. So my worlds collided. So I'm excited for that as well.
Now, who are some artists not on Def Jam that you're excited about, or that you think is, doing, that caught your eye?
I mean, I'll always be excited about Drake. What?
Yeah.
And The Weeknd too as well. I'll always be excited about them. I'm excited. Jay signed Mulatto. I'm excited about her. She just put out an album. She's pretty dope. And Maxo Cream, he's pretty dope. I'm excited about them. Yeah, I mean, there's so many young new artists. I love 070 Shake.
Yes. I love that. I love that music too. Like when you posted it on your Instagram and I started listening, I was like,
I mean, she's Def Jam again, but she's she worked with Mike Dean on a lot of on the music, and another time when my worlds got to collide, and it's just, she's so prolific. She's just, her melodies are insane, and I'm excited for her next project. She's working on it now. So.
Oh, wow. That's great. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I love the vibe that she gives off, and hopefully 2021 will be a breakout year for her too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
every time Future drops something, I just love. Travis is coming out with his new album. Really excited about it. Yeah, I love the Don Toliver album.
Yeah, they love Don Toliver here in H-Town. That's for sure. It's Filipino American Heritage Month, and I don't even have to ask this question, but how important is your Filipino culture to you?
I mean, yeah, it's just embedded in it's just part of who I am. I am beyond proud to be Filipino and sponsor, endorse, buy everything that has to do with the Philippines. You have my full support. We, even much so, it was funny. I just reached out to Def Jam Philippines and was like, how do I get involved? Let me help you guys be better. Just please use me. So me and a couple people are executive producing a Filipino mixtape.
So that's really dope. Yeah, I saw you post that on Instagram, and I was like, Def Jam Philippines?
Yeah,
that's really cool. Like, do you know anything about that as far as like how that came about?
Yeah, I mean, Universal has a footprint in the Philippines, and then some of the guys over there were just making a play and saying like they do have hip hop, even if it's regional, and it's streaming, it's making an impact, and and then Def Jam was like, let's do it. So I'm really excited, and that's kind of like my chance to again have my worlds collide with like everything I'm doing here and just making this album better. So, yeah, really excited about that.
Yeah, no, that's really exciting. I'm excited for you. I can't wait to see what comes from it.
Yeah, even just like the talent involved, it's, and a lot of it I don't even understand. It's in dialects, it's not necessarily Tagalog. A lot of it's in more regional dialects. It's just they have literally like 70 artists working on the project.
Wow.
Old and young. I called my friend Illmind, also a Filipino producer.
Yeah.
I looped him involved. I called other Filipinos, like, I don't know if you know Pressa, the rapper from Canada. Mm-hmm. I got him looped in. So I've kind of, I'm starting to get all my guys involved in the project as well. So it's going to be, I'm really proud about it.
That's really exciting. I got to figure out how to get involved in that. So what message would you have for Filipinos that want to get into the music industry right now?
I mean, this is a great time. It's funny, like, Rich, when you guys were coming up, I remember you could count on one hand all the Filipinos in the music industry, and you knew them all. And I feel like you made a record with half of them, So it's like watching just even, your generation to us where, we actually have a little bit of a group going here of, young Filipino professionals working, and we kind of all know each other. A couple of us have group chats. I don't know if you had that same support system. I think you had maybe half of the Filipinos involved were artists and the rest were random. I don't, and now we have the chance, especially also with, social media, like we're so much more connected. I don't know if you guys had that.
Yeah, we didn't have that.
And, even within my own company, I've reached out to the other Filipinos working there. I mean, it's we definitely need to support each other. It's not easy, but there's a lot more of us now. And, I would say, it's hard growing up where our parents probably don't even believe these are actually real jobs,
Yeah, try explaining Kumu to our parents right now. I just discovered that app, and it's like, whoa, this is crazy. This is like the Filipino TikTok or what,
And it's like, I feel like probably up until like last year, my dad finally believed that you can make money off rap music. You know, like,
What?
I know, which is crazy, you know, like I have 3 kids. Right, I know. So, you know, I would also say I stopped needing their approval too, you know.
Well, you've proven yourself. So
Yeah, you know, for sure. But you know, it's hard because like, you know, their gauge of success is being, you know, a successful doctor or lawyer or something like that. You know, mostly doctor.
yeah.
Have nothing tangible to show for it. Like I
Yeah.
make music, you know.
Well, you definitely have tangible stuff. I mean, you just go through the repertoire of all the projects you've been involved in. So, I mean, you could just tell your parents, look, I work with Michael Jackson, and that should shut them up right there.
You would think.
What is your favorite Filipino dish all time?
Well, lumpia definitely, but I'll also say adobo because of how different it can be, like depending on whose house you go to or
Yeah.
who for you. Just even within my own family, we have like 4 different recipes. So yeah, I just
So
love.
whose recipe do you like the best?
I mean, mine, of course, is the best. That's my version. So yeah, and then like everyone says lumpia, I'm sure. Like meaning even my American friends, you know, like every party, that's what they want.
Yeah. All right. So before I let you go, I'm just going to read a couple headlines. Just give me your thoughts on them. Travis Scott helped boost sales for McDonald's after his limited edition partnership. Now they got J Balvin partnering with McDonald's. So what's your thoughts on fast food and artists now?
I mean, I hate that it's McDonald's, but I mean, they literally put the 2 coolest guys in the world and stamped the approval. Like the merch went crazy off of Trav. I mean, I'll tell you this. I call Mike Dean at the studio and I see Travis, and I haven't had McDonald's in probably 10 years. Travis answers and I'm like, oh my God, congratulations. He's eating a French fry. I'm like, I get off, I order Postmates and I order the meal. And I'm like, oh my God, you know, like I haven't had McDonald's in 10, 15 years. And here I am, like, I need the Travis Scott meal. And I'm like, I'm friends with Travis. Like, I don't need this, but yet I even fell for it. So I literally felt like the minute they did that, it gave McDonald's a cool stamp. Like, and then followed by J Balvin. I mean, like no one's cooler than him in that space either, you know?
I will admit, I'm the same way with you. I have not had McDonald's in literally, I think the last time I had McDonald's was probably 15 years ago.
No.
But I went to McDonald's. I ordered my Travis Scott meal.
Literally, it was on Postmates. Like, send that now, please.
And
good stuff.
And I will admit, I did go ahead and buy the J Balvin Big Mac fries and
McFlurry, Oreo McFlurry. No.
I was suckered in. I couldn't believe. Put it this way: my kids won't even eat McDonald's. They won't even eat it.
It wasn't McDonald's, but the fact that it worked.
Yeah, it's so crazy. It's so crazy.
Like,
So
I have friends hitting me up, being like, "Can you hit those guys over there and try to get me the McDonald's shirt for Trav?" You know, like, and I'm like, "You want a McDonald's shirt? Like, this is amazing."
all right, here's another.
I mean, I think it's great. I think it's great, and I think it's working. And when you say, like, does it boost sales? Of course. You and I went.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to read another headline. So, Fleetwood Mac's Dreams charts on the Billboard Hot 100 for the first time since 1977, thanks to TikTok.
I mean, that's super sweet. Super sweet. That's where TikTok gets it right.
Yeah.
Where people who never would have heard this song
or this band.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I even saw that people aren't just downloading that song. They're going to the back, catalog, the Fleetwood Mac catalog now.
I mean, Fleetwood Mac's old to me. I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, so even me, I was like, wow, this song's amazing. What is this?
Okay,
like seriously, I was like,
yeah, no, yeah, it's crazy.
on some level, I'm again another one that was also was like, what is this? It's amazing.
We're just a bunch of followers now. We're just a bunch of sheep. Okay, here's
the headline. Come on.
All right, here's another headline. This was a little more, probably more on your level. BMG says it will eliminate the application of the controlled composition clause, which reduces royalty payments for artists that write their own songs for all releases going forward. Now, you're a lawyer.
Yeah, that's where I wear my lawyer hat. And, I will say that songwriters have never been accounted for properly, so to speak, or fairly, rather. So yeah, I'm all for this. I'm all for it to stop being statutory rates and for songwriters to be able to call the shots just like producers, artists, everyone else. So, moves like this are exciting.
Yeah. Especially going into 2021. What are you looking forward to in 2021?
Traveling, hopefully.
Well, I like where you are right now. I mean, you got the Hollywood sign in the background, and I know that's real. It's not a virtual background like my virtual background. You got the real deal.
Yeah, it was right a couple months into COVID. It made more sense for us to be in LA so we could still work and still go to the studios instead of be in our apartment in New York. So we came to LA.
Yeah, look at that beautiful skyline though. Looks real pretty.
So, but this was not, we took an RV across.
Did you? Really?
Yeah, I mean, we went definitely during the very big, onslaught of COVID. We didn't feel comfortable flying, so we took an RV. It was
which route did you take? Did you kind of go through Colorado?
Yeah.
Or did you go through Texas?
Colorado.
Yeah, you went through Colorado and then came down, basically.
Mm-hmm. Which was interesting because I was like, oh, we'll stop so many places. We stopped literally nowhere.
Just for gas.
It just wasn't that good looking, worth it. And then you started seeing things like Trump, Pence, Bill. We should just keep it going, just next. And then, by the time, nothing was really that beautiful, so to speak. And then until we got to Colorado. Yeah.
And plus, I'm sure there wasn't anything open really, right? Because this is the beginning of the lockdown.
It's still COVID. Everyone was still locked down. So we were able to, it was the first day that Arches in Utah were open. So we were able to go to that park. And then after that, straight to LA.
Yeah. So what have you learned about yourself during this pandemic that you didn't know before? And did you pick up any new skills or new hobbies during this time?
It's funny. It's I was on a Def Jam call and someone asked me how am I thriving during this time? And I literally want to laugh in you guys' faces. Now I've added homeschool to. Mm-hmm. So
you're the teacher.
Yeah. So no, I didn't get to pick up another language or cooking classes or anything. I actually have to teach these kids.
You become the teacher and the principal at the Marisa Academy, Marisa Pizarro Academy.
Exactly. So, we're now on Zoom calls all day long. And then we have to homeschool and go to the studio still to make the music and somehow find time to sleep. So I'm still trying to work out how to balance all these things. So I didn't pick up anything new. But in terms of skills, it's definitely had me work on my patience.
Oh yeah. And I know from my own experience, you didn't have a lot of it, but I'm sure now you do.
Exactly, on every level, from work to the kids to just, to even my internet connection.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Marisa. Thank you for your time. It's always good to see you. Yeah, and it's always a pleasure to just kind of catch up with you too.
Yeah, and just a word of advice for any young Filipinos or anybody. Reach out. Now that there's social media and stuff, it's easier to reach out to people and try to keep in contact with people you admire and want to learn more from. So
yeah, I guess all that can happen, right, is they just ignore you or say no, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like also we're all home now, so we're checking things more, like social media and stuff, and and I have more time to listen to those demos, or to talk to the young college student coming up, or things like that. So
oh, that's great.
Things like that used to be, now that we're all on Zoom, I don't it's fairly easy to check in with alumni, things like that, interns, and so
basically we're going to flood your inbox now with demos. I'm just kidding. Not really.
/ good luck. Right?
Well, thanks again, Marisa. Thanks for hanging out with me on Behind the Beats. We'll see you next time.
Thank you.